Something like that.
Hey guys, Jackson here. So I'm going to show you guys how to go from this look to this look. This is my Broadway inspired look. I hope that you guys enjoy. For this look, I'll be starting off with a base, which is actually a lipstick. This is a Macaron Lippie by NYX Cosmetics in the color Coconut. I had to get a little creative here because somebody could not find their NYX Jumbo Pencil in Milk. So I saw this lippie and I was like, I think that will work. And it actually did. But I did get a little line happy. None of this is necessary. Just make sure that you completely cover your face with a base first. And my recommendation is to use a pure white color. To blend out my base, I'm just going to use my trusty beauty blender and I'm just going to start blending. You will have a few layers of this color, so just be patient. You will have to build this, but your beauty blender will make it a lot easier for you during your blending process. Once you've completely covered your face, then you're going to go down into your neck and just add an even layer of color as well. When you're done adding your base, you'll look something like this. Alright, so to avoid any major creasing, I'm going to use NYX Cosmetics HD Studio Photogenique Finishing Powder and just applying it all over my face and my neck to make sure I don't experience any crazy creasing because we don't want that. For my dramatic theatrical brows, I'll actually be using NYX Cosmetics Mousse Gel Liner in the color Black. I'm also using one of their angled brushes to just sketch out the line of how I want my brows to look. Now, Ursula had very arched brows, so as you guys can see, I'm going past my natural brow and just kind of drawing over that. For the eyes, I'm going to start off by sketching the actual shape of my eye. So as you guys can see, I have a very almond-shaped eye, but I want them to look round, so my place points are very important. I started at the very end of my eye and then taking it to the midpoint of my brow bone to create this oval crescent shape. When you create these dramatic eye looks, you definitely are going to start off by sketching just to see your placement. So your lines are not very important at the moment if they are not crisp and straight, because you're going to go back and even everything out. You would keep in mind that this is something like a cut crease, so just sketch out how and where you want your line to be, and then you can go back and perfect it. To define my cut crease, I will be using NYX Love in Rio eyeshadow palette in the color Showgirls Exposed. So I am actually using the applicator from the palette just to, again, carve out the color and to make it a little bit sharper. So I'm using the gray color that's in the palette. It is actually the first color in the Showgirls Exposed palette. So again, don't worry about lines, but you're going to start to curve out this color. Taking a fluffy brush and a little bit more of that gray silver color, I'm just going to blow out this color on the outer part of the eye. This is going to create definition in the cut crease, which is definitely what you want in theatrical looks. So the key to this, as with anything that when you're dealing with makeup, is just to blend it out until you get the color that you want. For my inner lid color, I'll be using NYX Cosmetics Ultra Pearl Loose Eyeshadow in the color Ocean Blue. And I'm going to just pat this color onto my entire mobile eyelid, taking it all the way up to my brow bone in that crescent moon shape. So as you guys may know, Ursula has those round eyes and her shadow comes all the way up to the brow bone, so I just want to make sure to mimic that and keeping up with the trend of her look. Once you've gotten your desired color payoff of your loose powder, you're going to go back to your cut crease and just define it some more. So you may want to add a little bit more black to the cut crease line, or you might want to add some more gray. Whatever you want to do to make it more dramatic is totally cool. To add more definition to my eyes, I'm going to take NYX Cosmetics single eyeshadow in the color Kama Sutra, and I'm going to place this on my innermost part of the eye by the tear duct. Now I'm also going to carry this a little bit further outwards towards my nose, because this is going to provide the placement for my contouring when I get there. But just be sure to blend, blend, blend. Once your shadows are set, you can move on to your winged liner. Now for theatrical purposes, this wing liner is going to be extremely dramatic, a little bit overdrawn, but we want to make sure that the crowd can really see our makeup from all the way up in the stands. So I'm just going to really overdraw my wing liner for this look. For my wing liner, I am still using that same mousse gel in the color black as I did for my brows and for my cut crease. As you guys can see, this color is very, very intense, but you have to move really fast because it will dry on you. So just move fast when you're doing this one. Alright, so I was looking at some pictures of Ursula, and it seems as though she kind of has like some dramatic wings coming out of her winged liner. So I'm not having any like particular way of doing this. I'm just kind of freehanding it, but just creating some extra wings to get you know, a little bit more drama and some more dimension going on with my wing liner. Next up is contouring, darling. So I'm going to use NYX Cosmetics Jumbo Pencil in the color Purple Velvet. So I'm keeping up with the same trend as if I was to wear regular makeup when I'm doing my contouring, only I'm using purple this time. So I'm going to carve out my cheeks and the planes of my face that I want to contour. So you guys know what that is. You're going to contour the cheeks. You're going to go, you know, over the forehead, down the brim of the nose, around the jawbone to give yourself some added definition. Now, when you're using the purple, just make sure that you blend out or any type of color, because you want to make sure that it still looks very blended, but that you did it on purpose and you meant for it to look like that. It just really needs to look defined. So that's when you want to just make sure that your placement is key in this step, which is why I'm taking my time and really making sure that I place the contouring color in certain areas. For my Ursula look, I relied very heavily on my beauty blender just to blend everything out and make sure that everything made sense. So I'm pulling down my contour color down my jawbone, but I am making sure to kind of keep that harsh line because it creates dimension in the face and makes it appear as if I have a higher cheekbone when I really don't. Be sure to blend out your nose. So I am taking a little bit of shadow and a fluffy brush. This is that same color, Kama Sutra, and I'm just going to blend out my nose and make sure that, you know, everything is as well blended as it possibly can be. To add more definition to my cheekbones, I'm going to use NYX Cosmetics Cream Blush in the color Red Cheeks. So I'm starting at my hairline and just carrying the color down a little bit, but not too far. And then we're just going to use our beauty blender and blend everything on out. So now when you see these colors, right, you're like, oh my god, this is so scary, like, what am I doing to my face? But once you start blending, you can really see how the color is placed on the face and it doesn't look weird or scary. But that's why blending is so important, especially with theatrical looks like this, just to make everything look nice. So just blend it out. And again, I'm using my beauty blender to do that. Taking the same color Kama Sutra, I'm just going to carve out my cheeks again and use a little bit of that shadow to make them a bit more defined. So I'm continuing to carve out the planes of the face, and I'm still using that Kama Sutra color and going into my forehead. But I'm going to apply the color a little bit darker here just so you can see it a little bit better, and it keeps up with the color scheme of the purple. And this part is totally optional. I just got a little creative here and just created some lines for a little bit extra dimension and just to make it appealing for the eye. Alright, and we can't forget to apply lashes, so I'm going to use NYX Cosmetics lashes in the style Disco Queen. These are some very dramatic lashes, and I will say that you need to kind of warm up and loosen the band so that it will fit nice and comfortable on your eyes. Once you've applied your lashes, you definitely want to apply a generous amount of mascara to your natural lashes to marry the two. So I'm using NYX Cosmetics mascara, and this is called Curvaceous. And a couple of coats will do you just nice. So don't feel like you're applying too much because chances are you're not. Using the same gel liner and angled brush, I'm going to line my bottom lash line. But I'm not going into the waterline, I'm keeping it on the outermost part of my lash line so that it can be more defined and seen from far away. And just to add a little bit of dimension and pull the look together, I'm using Kama Sutra and a fluffy brush and just applying the color underneath the lash line. Now, you can apply as much as you like for added drama, but I just wanted a nice wash of color. For my lips, I'll be taking NYX Cosmetics Retractable Lip Pencil in the color Red. Now I'm overlining my lips, especially at the top, to make them appear larger and filling them in. This liner is very, very creamy and so easy to use. Once you've applied your lip liner, just go ahead and apply your favorite red lipstick. Now this is a really cool lipstick from NYX Cosmetics. It's from their Lip Smacking Fun Colors line, and it is called EROS. I really like this lipstick because it's kind of shiny, and it's a little bit different than what I would normally do. I typically wear a matte lip, but for this look, this shiny lip works really, really nicely. We're almost done, guys. Alright, so now we're going to pull the look all together and apply your wig. So this is really fun, and at this point I was just like, okay, I think I might like this. But this is a lace front. This is the first time I've actually ever worn like a wig like this, and I thought it was really cool for this particular look. To add body and fullness to my roots, I'm going to use Big Sexy Hair's Get Layered spray and just go to work, honey. So I did a lot of back combing and teasing with a fine tooth comb just to make sure that I get a lot of body in the root area so that it will kind of stand up a little bit better on its own. I will tell you guys, I did freestyle this. I didn't know what I was going to come up with when styling my hair, but it actually worked itself on out. So just go crazy, okay? And just wrap that thing on out and make sure it stands up to the heavens. And then go back in and apply more and more and more hairspray. Again, I'm using Big Sexy Hair's Get Layered. And once you're done, just style to your desire. So at some point I was like, hey, this kind of reminds me of Marilyn Monroe hair and Ursula. So you guys can call me Mersula because Ursula got a facelift. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this look. If you have, please vote, 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 and I might just see you in LA. I will catch you guys in my next video. Peace out.